Have you ever seen, and I'm sure you have, the little animation of a guy who's picking through a diamond mine, and there's two versions. One, he's right there about to get it. His next strike is going to bring him to diamonds. And then the next one is him turning around, walking away. I think that is success, kind of, sort of, in a nutshell.
I was just on book club, and we did a poll of who in here thinks long-term, thinks mid-range, thinks short-term. Long-term's 10 years, mid-range is 2 to 5, short-term is 1 year. I think we had 30% long-term, 60% mid-range, and 10% short-term. And I'll make that make sense in this episode.
Next Level Nation, today for episode number 2120, don't start a journey without a timeline. So the reason I wanted to do this episode is because in the previous episode, Alan was talking about how for the next meetup, it is going to be the top 10 reasons people aren't more successful or something like that. That might not be the actual title, but I was thinking that I think belief is one, obviously, and community and that type of stuff. But I am convinced one of the reasons why is because when people start something, they don't have a timeline in mind. And eventually it gets to a place where they're like, yeah, this kind of sucks. I think if you went into it with a timeline, you said, no matter what, as long as it's within alignment, I am going to do this for 6 months. I'm going to do this for 6 weeks. I'm going to do this for 6 days, whatever. I'm willing to bet people would be more successful, because I think it's really hard to understand how long something actually takes. The stats for podcasting, you have to give it at least 2 years. I mean, that is, if you are successful within the first 2 years, you are an anomaly.
Yeah.
If you're not successful at the end of 2 years, you are like 99.9% of other podcasters, and now you have to get super creative and figure out how to do it.
Nice.
But if you think 10 episodes is a lot, I said this in the wrap-up of our last group coaching call. I said, look, everybody out in the world is going to say you're amazing because you've done 100 episodes, you've done 150 episodes. Good, that's a really good start. And I don't mean that from a place of ego. I mean that from a place of somebody who understands the time perspective. That's a great start. But guess what? We weren't successful 150 episodes in either. Mm-hmm. We were more successful, I think, statistically, but not really. Still broke as shit. So if we quit at 150,
were we making any money then?
I don't think
we started coaching. We started coaching for free.
I don't remember when that was 2019, I think. We started coaching in 2019.
Yeah, we coached for free weekly. Are you doing half hours or hours?
I was doing whatever.
Hours.
Whatever they wanted. You can have it all.
And eventually it was $50 a session.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't keep doing it for free.
But that took years. Well, I was going to say it took off. I was going to say that took years.
My coaching kind of did. In hindsight, it didn't feel like it did.
Your coaching took off more.
I think in hindsight, it's when I compare to other coaches that I've coached, it's like, oh, Kevin and I had it going on. I didn't know. Yeah.
We had something.
And again, at the time, it didn't feel that way though. It was kind of like, wow,
but
this isn't working.
I think that's the other piece of it too, is even right now, yeah, things are going really well. But if we were to stop today, we would never be more successful than we are today. And it's just this weird.
It would stop completely. Yeah.
It would stop completely.
Imagine if we stopped right now.
It would be terrible.
The whole thing would be gone.
Yeah, it'd be terrible.
It's like, how long would it take if you built a brand new house? How many years would it take for that house to be completely gone?
I feel like it would take a long time.
Yeah.
I have a good one. I have a good analogy for this.
Yeah.
When you were a kid, you ever go to the beach and you would dig a big hole and try to fill it with water?
Oh, yeah.
You know how the water just goes right through the sand?
Yeah.
Just that. As long as you keep throwing water in there, that thing will stay full. The second you stop filling that thing up with water, it goes dry and then it's done. That's it.
Yeah.
And then you have to start all over again.
It's a good metaphor for business.
I feel like that's what.
That though.
That's a good one. I think if we made like a little diagram or something. Nice. But that's my thesis in today's episode.
Imagine your digital assets. I would love that. That would be awesome.
I can't do it. I'm terrible at it. Don't know how to do it. I do not have
a shout out. We need a sand castle thing.
I don't even know how we would do that, but yeah, that's my thesis.
I'm being playful, but don't actually do that. Don't waste time on that. We're joking. So let's say hypothetically you and I didn't have a long term. Kevin and I playfully joke. When we started this podcast, I intended on having a podcast, like forever. When I started Conversations Change Lives, it was a YouTube channel. It was going to be a podcast. I intended on it being forever. Here's the weird duality that I've tried to hold. When you start something, let me give a better metaphor. I've been in long-term relationships in the past. When I got into a long-term relationship, it was always because I hoped that it would be the person. And when I got to a point where I knew it wasn't, that's when I knew I had to leave. So one of my exes, I remember vividly going, oh shit. There's no way this is the person. There's no way we're going to get married. There's no way. So to me, there's no point in it at all. Because as a long-term thinker, I know that sounds harsh, but the point of the relationship for me wasn't the now, it was the investment of the future.
I don't think that sounds harsh at all. I think that's probably what's best, honestly, for everybody.
I agree. And I'm grateful you feel that way. I think it sounds harsh to some people. I don't like this business partnership. When I started it, I was like, okay, I hope this is forever.
Yeah, but
I
feel like
guarantee it. But
what are you playing? Like, what are you working into account in order to come up with the equation? You know, you're able to extrapolate if then.
The way that I thought about it was, this is the best. This is what my brain did. I went into the future and I saw me with you and me without you. And me with you was better. Some of that was based on delusion. Some of it was based on truth. More of it was based on truth than delusion.
Cheers to delusion.
And intuitively plus brain, I was like, I'm better with Kev than without him, so this makes perfect sense. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And I'm grateful I made that decision because, like I said, without you, I don't think I would have met Emilia. That's like, I'll never forget that.
That's my defining value that I've brought over the last 8 years.
It's true, man.
Nice.
That's it all.
I accept.
Everything is an accumulated compound effect of all of our past choices. And my choice to work with you led me to so much. As a matter of fact, you were friends with Bianca, and then I became friends with Bianca through you. And then Bianca was the one who convinced Emilia I wasn't a meathead when I looked like one on Instagram.
You did look like one. I'm just cleaning up my shirt. I spilled something on my shirt here, so don't let that bother you. My bad.
The first thing that struck you on my Instagram wasn't intelligent engineer? No? Back in the fitness modeling days?
From Emilia's perspective, yeah, I would guess that's a no.
All right, so anyways, back to the episode. I always thought as an investor. So to me, I wouldn't start a podcast at all unless I, at the time, believed I would be a podcaster forever. Like when I made the choice to be an engineer, I thought I'd be an engineer forever. I didn't, I'm going to try engineering.
I feel like that's so rare.
I know.
I feel like that's so rare.
And then when I realized engineering sucked, I went and got my master's in business. And then I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to be in business. Yeah. And
I feel like it makes sense from the relationship place of, I think most people want to get into a relationship assuming that'll be the relationship forever. When you cross a certain age, maybe when you're 17, you're probably not thinking that. You're probably thinking like, who's the hottest person I can be with, right? And then eventually it's like, well, of course I want a beautiful partner, but I also want somebody who has my core values, my core beliefs, aligned core aspirations, somebody that I can build a life with.
Even that's probably a lot more than most people are thinking. We have really lost sight of how hyper-conscious we've become. I was just in book club and we were talking about some stuff and I was like, I don't think anyone's ever talked about this out loud. Not that I've ever seen. What we were just talking about. And you're sitting there going, core aspirations, core values, core beliefs. I don't even think...
Well, I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that till like 3 years ago. So
I think it was more than that. But yeah, isn't it wild?
There's something though, right? It's like we like the same stuff. Yeah, because you hear people say all the time, we don't have anything in common. What does that mean?
Yeah,
core values and core beliefs. So
agreed.
Core behaviors, probably more than anything. I don't know, but I do think that this is my. If I was going to make like a framework out of this, or maybe not, maybe like a test, before you're committing to do something, ask yourself how long you're really committing time.
Yeah.
So if you just got your dream job and it's hard as shit, it's harder than you thought, and you're like, ooh, I don't know if I can do this. How long are you willing to try? If it's 2 weeks, you don't care that much. Or it's way worse. It's way worse than you thought. Yeah. One of two, or both. If it's like I don't know, you start something and you just love it so much and you're like, I'm going to dedicate 5 years to this and see what happens. One, you're on the very high end of, let me finish. One, you're on the very high end of time perspective because most people aren't willing to dedicate 5 years to almost anything other than like college. And two, I'm willing to bet you're going to get way further. And you, in those 5 years, you might figure out how to do it sustainably, where if somebody says, I'm only going to do it for 5 weeks, there's no way. Unless you get lucky.
Do you believe that in the opening I said we were on book club, we did a poll of long-term, mid-range, and short-term, and I appreciated everyone's honesty. Shout out to the book clubbers. Today was intense, I know. If you're sitting in it right now, I know, me too. But 30% were long-term, 10 plus years, 60% were mid-range, 2 to 5 years, and 10% was short-term. And I asked the short-termer if they would be willing to share. They didn't. I said, you don't have to. And they just didn't. No one came to share with the class, so to speak. But from this frame, do you think it's possible to succeed at a very high level without the long-term?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Now more than ever. Yeah. 100%.
I don't agree at all. If you want to be the top of any industry, you have to play for a long time.
You did not say top of any industry. You said successful. Those are two very different things.
When you say success, do you not percentage?
I mean above the statistical average. Is what I would say.
Oh my goodness.
Above the statistical average.
So you're talking what, 60%? What's the percentile? So when I say I'm top 1 percentile in, I don't know what, 225 bench is top 1% or whatever?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're top one percentile.
Yeah, I would say top 20. Top 20%.
I don't do that, dude. That's so interesting. To me, if you're not top 1%, you're not successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you think
weird.
about it, that means 99% of the people listening can't do it. Kind of.
No, but they could if they want to.
Yeah, but not all of them.
They just have to sacrifice. No, not all of them.
Right,
but this is why statistics are so fucked up, because all of them could increase the whole bell curve.
I know.
Right? So this is why I always say Kevin's quality of life right now is better than the richest person on planet Earth 200 years ago. There was no phones, no internet, right? So the whole bell curve increases. Just because you're not top 1% doesn't mean.
I'm thinking like you could become an entrepreneur if you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and you could have something that does 6 figures. Are you going to be able to travel all over the world and live in a mansion and have a ton of help and have an endless supply of money? No.
But no. In business, if you go at it, this is the thing that breaks my brain, and we're having a healthy debate here.
We've been having a lot of healthy debates lately. We get off here and Alan's like, dude, are we good? Like, yeah, man, I love this. This is good. I love these episodes because I think Alan does not. I think there's so much value in your idea and my idea, and like, I don't know
I agree.
I don't know how everyone thinks. I know how I used to think, and I know how I think, and you know how you used to think and how you now think, and I think that's the beautiful thing. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I love it. So, what was I going to say? Oh, you know that, so there's this thing. So Warren Buffett is arguably the most famous investor, not necessarily the best one. And he read his first finance book when he was 7 years old. It's like a legend at this point, quote unquote, in the finance space. And they did a calculation of how much his net worth would be if he started at 30 and ended at 60, like most people. $12 million. Instead of the 100 and, I mean, look, I'll look it up right now, but I think it's almost 200 billion. So what is Warren?
I'm going to say it's 138 bill. That's what I'm going with.
Net worth. No way. It's more than that now, brother. $169. 169. And the reason I knew it was more is because the 21st century is going crazy. I mean, there was no trillionaires. There was no $1 trillion companies. 10 years ago, there was no $1 trillion companies. Now there's like a bunch. Because it's all based on perception. It's perception of value. It's not real, which is a whole nother conversation. But
what was your point?
the long game. I actually don't agree. I don't think you can be top 1% in anything.
I agree with top 1%. Top 20, I think you can.
So what would be the point of that? You'd start a company, have 6-figure years.
It wouldn't
and then
even
stop?
it wouldn't even be a company. Like you'd be if you're a real estate agent, you'd be a real estate agent. You'd make $125,000 a year. You'd be more successful than most real estate agents. And
then what though? What would you do after that?
Lifestyle.
But
you do lifestyle.
No. You do lifestyle.
That's just what you would do. That would be your career.
Oh, okay. So you would do it in perpetuity though.
You would do it in perpetuity, but you would probably try to make the same amount of money and work less over time.
Oh, so that is long term.
I don't think you'd go in with that plan, though. I think I don't know. Again, for
Did
me,
you not go into podcasting?
Fuck
like saying I'm going to be a podcaster forever?
No, God.
You said I want to be like Joe Rogan.
I was delusional, and I do not aspire to. I don't want to be like anything like Joe Rogan anymore.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out how to do it sustainably.
What did you think? What did you think you'd do when you were 50?
I had no fucking clue. I hoped I'd be a podcaster. I think. I didn't think I would.
What did you think you'd do at 35? How long did you think you'd be a podcaster? Hello, NLU listener. Thank you, as always, for listening to Next Level University. Real quick, I just want to jump in and let you know about the Next Level Dreamliner. This is a journal that I use every single day. Achieve your dreams 90 days at a time. It breaks down your dreams into goals, milestones, and daily habits. We hope you enjoy it. The link will be in the show notes. When you started Hyperconscious Podcast, you started this shit.
I didn't. There was zero plan of how long I'd do it for.
That is so alarming.
Oh, that I'm not saying
with
that.
all the love.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's the way to do it. That's why I'm so.
No wonder you kept your job.
I didn't keep it long enough
before I decided to start a company.
I should have kept it longer and saved more money. I didn't fucking know.
Yeah.
That's how short term I was. I assumed, we'll make money fast enough. No. No.
Yeah.
But I
thought we'd make money faster too. I did.
I do think you can be top 20% without having a super long term future.
You can stumble upon it. You're not going to... Put it this way. You're always going to be better off if you decide in advance.
I agree.
I agree. Brian Tracy says this in one of his books. I love Brian Tracy's work. If you want some solid fundamental personal development, Brian Tracy books, they're just boring as hell, but they're solid. I've said that 1,000 times. I just can't... the guy had...
What a shining endorsement for B. Tracy. Boring as shit.
But solid fundamentals. That's what I feel like we are. Boring as shit, but solid fundamentals. Hopefully not with all our debating lately.
Much younger.
Some of that's entertaining with Kevin talking about lighting his fucking arm on fire. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Kevin, when he was a kid, used to put axe
I wasn't
on
a kid.
Arm.
I was older than you would probably think.
Okay, either way. So what was I talking about with Brian Tracy? Oh. Continuous improvement formula. He said if you get 1% better every day for a full year, you get 1,000. No, I can't quote it anymore because I used to have that memorized. What else did Brian Tracy talk about? Why was I talking about Brian Tracy?
Long-term strategy.
Got it.
Nice.
There's a bunch of books, Searching for Excellence, Defining Excellence. There's a bunch of excellence books. And I don't know the authors. I can't quote them. I've read one of them and I was like, fuck this book. But Brian Tracy references them in one of my favorite speeches. He gave a speech. I have it on my YouTube saved. It's world class. And he talks about the excellence books and how all the people that they've studied that are the top 1% in their field decided in advance to do it. That's not a coincidence. You can't go into an industry and just be like, oh, I hope I do well. And I know this is going to sound pretentious, but please bear with me on the thought. Because in the science, this is true. I decided to get straight A's in high school, and then I went and did it. There's no way you're going to stumble upon straight A's unless you're a fucking genius. Because I would much rather have played video games. There were nights when I almost didn't get straight A's. I had to make sure. I talk about the 89 in honors English for a reason. I never took honors English again after that because it was too hard. I had to actually try. I was like, fuck this. I'll never forget Miss Desilets. We were doing poetry. What does this mean? I don't care. I don't care at all. What do you mean? What does this mean?
I feel like I would love that now.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, probably no. You like words and concepts. For me, I'm a math and science guy. Like, this is dumb, in my opinion. I do realize in hindsight it would have been more of value. I wish that I had taken it more seriously. But I decided to get a certain result in advance because I needed scholarships and financial aid, and I couldn't go to college otherwise. And I knew I was effed if I didn't go to college. To me, it was going to be engineer, MBA, Fortune 50 CEO like my hero, Steve Jobs. Or it was going to be lawyer, politician, president. And I decided not to be a lawyer, obviously, because of what we've talked about.
We've gone through that story.
Kev was in the jury. Yeah, I'll keep it short. But
I shaped history in my own meaningful way.
It was a mock court case where I dressed in a suit and Kevin was the leader of the jury. And just...
Shout out to Hutch, law class.
Did you live with Sean at the time?
No, I didn't live there until later in life.
He was your best friend, though.
Yeah.
And I was against
him. My brother.
Do you know who he was with? It was me and Ryan and Sean and who? It was 2 lawyers against 2 lawyers.
Was it Brandon?
And you convicted this woman of first-degree murder.
She was guilty.
She was not guilty.
Here's the thing. Number one, nobody ever explained the law to me. They didn't explain the difference between first degree, second degree, involuntary, voluntary. Nobody explained that to me.
In my opening statement.
You probably made me feel, you probably attacked me.
You were insecure and didn't like me. That was as far as it goes.
Well, that's number one.
I was in a full suit.
That's number one. You got to know who you're talking to. You got to win the jury over.
That's fair. If I had humanize, know who you're talking to.
You got to humanize people, you know?
All right. So anyways, my point of this, in the Excellence books, they talked about how everyone who ended up at the top 1% of an industry decided in advance to do it. You're not going to stumble upon that. Although I will say, I did coach someone named Kanan, who was the top wide receiver in the entire East Coast, and he liked basketball more. He's like, yeah, dude, I didn't even really like football. I wanted to be a basketball player. I just wasn't that good. And he was in the NFL on the fucking, with Eli Manning. He's played with Eli. And I'm like, dude, let me get this straight. You ended up in the NFL playing with Eli Manning, and you didn't decide to do that? And he's like, no, I didn't even really. I was like, what? Can you imagine? Can you imagine if he tried to be in the NFL?
But you
stumble upon, talk about a talent.
For sure.
I mean, holy hell.
I think you should decide based on your level of belief, because that's the only way to do it.
Well, that's why I agree.
That's why I didn't have any podcast goals. I didn't believe I could do it.
Dude, you didn't say that. I wish you had said that. If you were vulnerable and like, dude, I don't believe in myself.
I assumed everybody thought that.
Really?
Yeah, I assumed.
I assumed everyone had belief.
Yeah, I assumed everybody just was like trying to figure it out. That's what I assumed.
You thought I was just trying to figure it out?
I assumed you had I assumed, to me, you were like a philosopher.
Wonder why I sound so delusional.
Yeah, you were like a philosopher, but it was like, brother, you and I are just hanging out, bodybuilding, getting Chipotle. Like, when are we going to build something? You know what I mean? When are we going to build something?
All right, what do you think now?
Now I think you were terrible at communicating what you knew. Is what I think now. But now it makes sense. But most other people have left already. They're gone.
I didn't need it to make sense.
Didn't make any sense.
I needed it to make sense back then.
100%. That's the problem. But I didn't believe in myself, so how could I believe that I was going to be part of something?
I didn't know you didn't have belief because you faked it well.
That was the goal. That was the key to my survival.
How many people do you think are faking belief? Okay, you coach some people. You coach Amelia.
Yeah.
Does she? You know the difference between fake belief and real belief.
Yeah.
How many people do you think are faking belief statistically? You don't have to call anyone out. Versus actual belief, like actual grounded. I'm going to make it happen or die trying.
I feel like I now think in meat ratios. So there's like 99-1 ground beef, 93-7, 85-15.
I had no idea where you were going.
I know that. I would say probably 93%. Probably like 90% of people who say they believe in themselves don't.
That is so wild.
I would guess.
That is 100% the main reason why I'm off on perception. Because everybody makes it seem like they do.
I still don't believe in I do a ton now, but if you're out there and you think I believe in myself, I'm willing to bet it's probably less than you think. You just see me in doing this. This is like my favorite thing in the world, and this happens to be what I have the most reps in. I believe in myself more than I ever have by a drastic amount. I just don't know. Okay, this is a good point, and then we got to hop, and because we got another episode to do.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're watching or listening, who do you think? I won't even say that. Can you tell the difference between my level of self-belief and Alan's level of self-belief? And how obvious is it? If it's not that obvious, then I'm probably better at hiding it than you realize. Or maybe you just don't know yet. I don't really try to hide it anymore.
This is where it gets wonky, though, because you used to sound more confident to some people.
It's because I was more arrogant. Not arrogant. I was. My ego was protecting me from the lack of knowledge.
I do a Facebook memory of the day, and they've been awesome. Dude, I saw 171 yesterday of us. Remember I used to do the whole episode, 5-minute clinic, I used to put the whole episode up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah, terrible.
Not great.
Not great. You sound so confident.
But maybe only I can tell that I'm not.
No, you... Okay.
Oh, okay.
Let me rephrase.
Yep.
To someone who hasn't been through this journey with you and who thinks screaming into a microphone to portray confidence to overcome massive insecurity is confidence, you sound confident. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually trying to help figure out, do I sound not that confident now? Because
That's what you've been saying.
I think you sound less confident now. I think.
I feel like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, I'm not making it wrong. I'm just, there's implications. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I just know.
Same. I don't either.
Did we pass 5 and now we don't say it with our fucking chest, you know? I've been trying to bring a little more oomph into my beliefs.
Same. I don't know. I don't have an answer for that yet.
Because even back then, no one considered you, maybe not no one, but I don't think people considered you arrogant.
It's because I was an idiot. I wasn't that smart. So that's all I had.
That doesn't make any sense.
When you don't have that, when what you say is not that accurate, the louder you say it, the more people believe it.
That's very dangerous.
That is social media in a fucking nutshell. Social media
that's really dangerous. No wonder why I love Brian. He just says things that are mostly accurate.
You know what's super funny / scary? If Brian was our age coming up right now, nobody would know who the fuck he is. Not a chance. He's too boring. He's too boring.
He's too boring. Yeah.
We need some, Brian, give us something.
Yeah.
Shotgun a beer, do a handstand.
This is why I love doing fitness, because I'm trying to figure out what about me is actually interesting, which is very little to other people, which is fine. That's fine. I love fitness, though. People love fitness. I'm a huge fan. I can go all in on that authentically. And anyone who loves fitness, follow me on Instagram. I'm going to fitness it up forever. I can't even get away from it. I love it. I fucking love it. So.
Same. And cars. I like cars. I'm trying to lean into the stuff that I like with the very limited amount of time I have.
Nice.
But outside of that, it's
all right, long term. Let's wrap this up. Next level lesson.
Yeah. Sit down and imagine, see how far out you can imagine yourself. I think that's probably, okay, a week from today, what does it look like? A month from today, what does it look like? At the beginning of next quarter, what does it look like? 6 months. And when it starts to get blurry, I would start setting certain meaningful timelines based on where the clarity ends and see what happens. And if it really means something to you, set a long timeline. Because it's not going to work. And nothing's going to happen in a month.
Yeah.
It's just really not. Yeah, it's just really not unfortunate. Especially
you can't get in shape in a month.
You cannot get in shape in a month. Yeah. Especially if you're building something. If you're really building something. It takes 2 years to build a foundation. And nobody sees that. Nobody ever sees the foundation. It looks like a disaster zone when you're building a foundation. Mm-hmm. But those are the important times. So
I was coaching 2 individuals. They're a couple. They're getting married in 77 days, and we're reverse engineering everything. And I asked them, "Are you guys trying to dial in fitness wise for the wedding?" And they both are kind of like, "No, we feel pretty on track. It's really good." 77 days out is not that. We talked about how in weddings, whenever someone has a wedding coming up, if I could see the numbers, I'd have to do some research. I would be willing to bet 80% of people are in the gym 2 months from their wedding, and versus the 30% normally or whatever. I don't know the stats. So I'm making this up, everyone. Okay, don't quote me on this. But there's a huge increase from what I've seen of prior to a wedding, people are exercising consistently.
For sure.
And what if you could think you can't get in shape in 2 months though? So what if you have a wedding in 5 years and you decide to be in great shape for that 5 years from now? That's going to be a whole different human being, because even when I had the exercise earlier, it's like you have 77 days. You're not going to be able to transform your entire body in 77 days. Yeah, you can lean out a bit, but you're not going to build a body comp and a physique out of that. So I've always been really long-term thinker. I don't know the engineer or whatever, prefrontal cortex, but I don't know what it's like to think super short-term, because I never really have. And the only time I thought really short-term was when I was drunk.
Makes sense. It makes sense. That's where everybody thinks really short term. That's why so many dumb things happen, unfortunately.
Agreed.
Right? All right. Cool. Next Level Nation. If you're looking for a group of amazing people who talk about weird stuff like this, I guess this isn't that weird, but I don't know. If you're sitting around the dinner table with your family and you're talking about, hey, how long into the future are you planning? Some people might think you're weird. I don't think you're weird. I think you're normal as shit in the best way. If you're looking for that type of stuff, we have a private Facebook group called Next Level Nation. There's posts every day. One of the biggest pillars to success is community. Join a Next Level one.
We just finished book club earlier, Willpower by Roy Baumeister and John Tierney. Every Saturday, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've been doing this for 4.5 years. I opened the meeting today with, we are here to reach our potential. I'm not here to be your friend. You will be triggered. That's okay. Sit with it. My only goal is to help you think differently. Think more accurately about yourself, others, in the world. If you want to think more accurately about yourself, others, in the world, we've read 21 books together, and we are growing together. It is tremendous. And the brainstorming sessions, people sharing, questions that get asked, there's things I'd never thought about, and it's like, holy shit. So if you want that, join us. It's totally free. The link will be in the show notes to register, and you don't have to come in at the beginning of a book. You can come in and out through whatever chapter. And we have a WhatsApp group as well. So just reach out.
As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Keep it next level. Next Level Nation.